tested Lidl's Parkside stone. You should watch before you buy. Today we're putting Lidl's Parkside 2-in-1 sharpening stone to the test to see if it's a hidden gem or just another tool-shaped disappointment. Will it restore your edge or just your faith in budget gear? Grab your bluntest knife and let's find out if this stone can slice through the doubt. So the best thing to do for this is to fully immerse it in water and to leave it for about 10 or 15 minutes. So give it plenty of time to soak up water. You can see from the bubbles there's a lot of air in the stone. We want to get rid of all of that and we want to make sure that it's nice and wet. So I'm going to come back in about 10 or 15 minutes. So just while that's finishing soaking, just to do a quick test on the knives. So this is my green paring knife and it can cut a bit. It's not really that sharp though. So we can do a lot better than that. And here's the Victorinox Red Solo. So it's cutting a bit, but it's pretty blunt. So we'll do a test afterwards as well. So taking it out of the water, popping it in the holder. So there's a silicone rubber holder for this. Now I'm going to keep the water close because it is important to keep this wet. It works much better. So here's a green knife and I'm just going to try and keep the angle roughly the same. I'm going to try and cover as much of the blade as I can. If you see from the shape here, it's mainly a flat blade, but it does splay out a little bit near the handle and I don't bother sharpening that bit so much. So I'm looking at sharpening this part of the blade. So I'm going to tilt it up at a slight angle. And then I'm just trying to keep it the same angle. I hope you don't mind the noise. I'm doing all of one side. And what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to raise a little bit of a burr on that edge. Not quite there yet. So it's normal, especially with a new stone, to see particles coming off. That's perfectly normal. And one of the benefits of a water stone is that those particles also act as abrasives. Right. I can feel a slight edge. I'm going to turn it over, take up a similar angle, and you can see that I'm doing the push and pull method. I don't think it matters too much. The key thing is consistency here. I'm keeping a nice even pressure on the blade as I do this. I'll give it a couple of goes either side. Let's just give it a quick dry. We'll just do another test just to see how it's coming along. Yeah, it's looking better. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over. And it hasn't taken too many strokes actually. Let's get it seated and just get a bit of water on here. So I've gone from the 400 to the 800 grit. And again, I'm going to get my angle right. I'm trying to be consistent in angle and consistent in pressure helps a lot. Now the reason I'm doing the pull and the push is that it means I don't need to keep readjusting the angle. I can just keep it consistent the whole time. And especially with these thin blades, it's good to keep this even pressure so all of the blade is in contact with the stone. And we can see from the colour here that it's taking some metal off. So let's do the other side. Now I could feel for a burr, but I think with this one, as it's a finer stone, it's going to be hard to find the burr. Right, let me just dry that off. And we give that a quick try. Now my paper's getting a bit wet. Let's see how it does. Right, let me get a fresh piece of paper. And this is partly, I think it's a little bit damp, but this is really a check for me to see if I've got a consistent edge, and I don't think I have yet. So I'm going to keep going for a bit. Now, the thing with these stones is the more work you can do on the lower grit, the less work you have to do on the higher grit, because you have to do so many more passes on the higher grit. Right, let me dry that off. Get it nice and dry. And then we'll just use a post-it note. It's not a great test for sharpening, but it's a good test just to see if I've got the whole edge. So I think that's pretty good. So that was easy. And you can see from the stone, you can see where it's taken some of the metal off. You can just clean that off. So that's my calibration knife. And I'd rather scratch up this old knife that I use in the kitchen than I would one of my more treasured knives. So let's flip the stone over again, get it seated. And it's quite a nice base, this. It gives you good access all around the stone. Let's make sure it's nice and wet. And then here's my Victorinox. So again, now this has had some bad sharpening in the past. If you look at this, it's a little bit wavy. Now, I'm not going to try and fix all of that. I'm just going to try and sharpen up what I can and try and get it as sharp across all of the blade as much as I can. So again, I'm going to fix an angle, and then I'm just trying to make sure that I cover the whole edge right up to the sharpening choil there. And I'm not going to try and straighten this out because you just end up losing too much metal. But I do want to get it sharp right up to the tip. So we'll do a couple of runs on there. So backwards and forwards. And yeah, it's wearing a fair bit of grit away actually. If you look at this, you'll see that quite a lot's come off. So the water acts as a lubricant, and then also you end up with a bit of an abrasive slurry as well. So this is the 400 grit. Now, this stone is available in Lidl. Well, it was at the time I made this video, and my son actually bought it for me when he was doing his shopping, and it was my son that bought me the other stone I have. So thanks to Tom for that. So I can feel a little bit of a burr. Let's turn it over. I want to make sure I get right through to the tip, as well as the main belly of the knife. So even these old blades that have maybe been a bit missharpened over time, even these can come up well with just a little bit of time. on the sharpening stone. Okay, let me just clean that off. Let's just do a test on a post-it note just to see how it's coming up. So it was pretty blunt to start with. So I think it's good on the flat part of the blade, not so good on the tip. So I'm going to keep it going. Just add a bit more water. And I'll keep most of this in. I know some people cut stuff out. There might be some cuts just to get rid of some of my ums and ers, but I'll try and keep it as continuous as I can so you can see there's no tricks to using this. I want to give it a good, full and fair review. So as I said earlier, we try and do most of the work on this stone, then there's a lot less to do on the finer grit. Let's try that again on the post-it note. Yeah, I think that's not bad. I think the blade's a little bit wet. So let's turn it over. Get it properly seated, add some more water, and don't be afraid to use a lot of water with these. They really do work better when wet. So, let's continue. So I've got my angle, I'm trying to keep that consistent. And I'm also trying to get the tip as well. I find it hard to do it in one go. So for me, I try and do it in sort of 2 goes. The really expert sharpeners can sort of pull it across the stone and turn it. I'm really not that good at doing that. But I am trying to keep a consistent angle and consistent pressure. And don't be afraid to give it a little bit of pressure, because if it's too light, then, well, you just won't sharpen it. So it's fine, but not enough that you're gouging lumps out of the stone. So I'll just do some near the tip before we turn over. You can see some of the metal coming off here. So this is inox from Victorinox. It's a relatively soft steel. I know some people don't like it because it has poor edge retention, but it's a good stainless, and what I like about it is that it's easy to sharpen. So, sort of alternating between doing the main edge and this sort of curved through to the tip. Let's see how that's looking. So it's not come up too badly. We'll give it a quick test, and it should be a lot better than the first one. So, just giving it a test. This stone from Lidl, this Parkside one, you can see here, it is a water stone. You do need to soak it in water and have water on it when you're sharpening your knives. So just going through the pros and cons here. So the pros are that it's cheap. It should be £10 or less, probably €10, that sort of price. What's it going to give you? It gives you 800 and 400 grit. So the red is 400, the white is 800, and that's enough to have a decent sharp knife. If you want it super sharp, then you need to strop it afterwards. So don't forget the stropping. And in fact, in between sharpening, stropping is a great way to keep your knives sharp. This is a really good, cheap starting point for doing your own hand sharpening. It's a nice flat stone. It works well, it's got a nice base. Please make sure you dry out the base in between use. Otherwise it will go moldy, I'm sure, because the previous one I had did as well. Okay, now going through the cons. The amount of water you have to have is a bit of a pain, the soaking it, and it's not really for super hard steel. So it's fine with these fairly cheap steels, with the Victorinox inox steel. If you've got some much harder steels, then this may not be good enough to sharpen those, and you may want to have a diamond stone. The other thing is that over time, these do get gouged out a bit, so you may need to buy a flattening stone, which just restores the flatness to it, so you get a nice flat edge when you're sharpening. But yeah, I think this did a pretty good job. Hopefully my sharpening technique was okay. And that's a wrap. So Lidl's Parkside Sharpening Stone has officially faced the edge and lifted out the tail. Whether it's earned a spot in your gear drawer or just a polite nod before you reach for your premium Whetstone, one thing's clear: never underestimate a budget tool with grit, literally. If you enjoyed watching me rub metal on a rock for 10 minutes, go ahead and hit the like button. Your knives will thank you. Even if you didn't, why not lie and still hit the like button? So it just helps my channel. Why not subscribe for some more sharp content? And remember, stay edgy, but not too edgy, and safety first when sharpening. If you're thinking of upgrading to a diamond sharpener, then why not check out this video here on the Sharple 2-in-1 diamond sharpener. If you don't strop but are thinking about doing it, why not check out this video on stropping as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.